STAG follows the life cycle of beetles, a game of planning and resource management, culminating in a social deduction showdown where you can lose it all if you're too greedy. You'll be nurturing your beetles, from eggs to grub to pupa, and finally into a beautiful beetle. You're scoring points from cards, objectives, moving up the evolutionary trait tracker, and finally the ever-exciting showdowns. Once 2 or more beetles reach the final stage, a showdown is triggered. After 5 showdowns, points are scored to determine the winner. Before we can start the fun, we have to set up. Firstly, we'll put together the main board. The bottom of the board is made up of 4 sections. Match up the letters and connect the pieces to make up the circle base. Then place the alignment hex in the middle of the board. Next, place the circle board with the pupa slots on top, and then the smaller circle board with the beetle slots, followed by the last golden layer. Make sure you align all the rectangle slots in the middle and insert the beetle centerpiece. This will help the board rotate and stay aligned. In no particular order, place all the pupa trait tokens on the middle ring, and also fill up the diamond slots with the point tokens. Lastly, place the 5 large point tokens in the middle of the board. Place your resources between the players so they're easily accessible. Pop the trait tracker next to the main board and tuck the hierarchy card at the top. Each player places one of their cubes at the bottom of each trait track, and then shuffle the remaining player cubes and place on the hierarchy card in a random order. Give each player an action mat and 2 card mats, which you'll place one above the other. Each player should also have their 5 action tiles starting with their player colour face up. Next, place your grub, pupa and beetle tokens on the card mats, keeping the 1 pips on the first mat and the 2 pips on the second. Then pop your pink cubes at the start of the left tracks and the black cubes at the start of the right tracks. Shuffle the beetle cards with the navy back and deal 2 to each player, placing the rest of the deck face down on the table. Shuffle the pink backed starter beetle cards and the green backed objective cards into separate decks. Do 1 of each to every player and then return the remaining cards to the box. Give each player a showdown token and also their starting resources, which are 10 eggs, 2 wood and 2 water. There are also useful player aids to help learning too. You're now ready to begin play. There are 3 main stages in a beetle's life, starting as a grub, developing into a pupa, and finally becoming a beautiful beetle. These stages are represented by the concentric rings on the board and the 3 sections on your card mats. The aim is to progress your beetles from the outside in on the board and from left to right on the card mats. Each stage of the beetle's life requires specific resources to progress. If we take a look down the left-hand side of a beetle card, you can see these requirements for each stage. There are 7 main resources: eggs, water, wood, aging, nectar, fruit and sap. The top left of the card shows the eggs. These are required to initially place a grub on the board. They are also used as a currency for certain actions. Then, when you're a grub, you need water, wood, and of course time. Fun fact, some stag beetles can live up to 7 years as a grub. The pink and black cubes relate to the pink and black age amounts on the card. So in this example, this grub needs 2 water, 3 wood, and to be aged 5 times. Then when you're a pupa, all you need is time, which is your black cube. And finally, when you're a beetle, you need enough food to reach the final stage for a showdown. This will be a combination of either sap, fruit, or nectar. Each card depicts a beautiful beetle showing their Latin and common name. The right shows the points the beetle is worth and the trait marker. There are 3 traits: mandibles, colouring, and wingspan. You'll see the symbols used throughout the game, and they have multiple uses. But on the cards, they relate to where you can place your tokens on the board, as well as gaining bonus points if you time your beetle's progression at the right time. The top and the bottom sections of the card relate to tucking cards, which I'll explain later. STAG differs from most board games in that all the players take their turns simultaneously. The turn order consists of 6 stages. Be sure to keep your player aid close by as a reminder. The first stage for each round starts with: at the beginning of each round, the middle pupa ring is rotated clockwise 1 space. Every single action you can do in the game is shown on your action tiles. The core of the game is all about placing these tiles in the most efficient sequence. The actions you'll perform are along the middle row that shows your player colour. The pips on the tiles indicate the bottom, as you can't play them upside down. All players simultaneously will choose their tiles in the order of their choosing, and then announce when they are set. There are no backsies in this game, so once your tiles are set, they are set. You will make mistakes, but that is the game. No backsies! When everyone is set, players will perform their actions at the same time. They'll do their actions in the turn order they've chosen, moving from left to right. You can choose not to perform an action if you don't want to, but I'll explain all the actions in more detail later. Once everyone has finished their actions, players collect their resources, and the resources they gain are the ones revealed on their player board. You can see the push and pull between the resources that you need versus the actions you want to do. So in this example, the player would collect 3 eggs, 1 wood, 1 water, and 1 nectar. There is a limit on how many resources you can hold on to, with a maximum of 15 eggs and 10 for each other resource. Once everyone has collected their resources, players check if any of their beetles on the board have their food requirements. If your beetle has the right food, pay it in and flip your beetle token. If you have the resources, you must pay them in and flip your beetle. If 2 or more players have a fed beetle token on the board, they move their beetles to the centre of the board and have a showdown. I'll explain showdowns in more detail later in the video. In the first round, you start with 2 grubs already on the board. Remove one of the grub tokens from your player mat and replace it with a pink starting card. Then place the grub token on the outer circle on the main board. The grub must be placed on a space that has the matching symbol to the one shown on the card. Then choose one of your 2 cards in your hand, pay the egg cost, and place on your second card mat. You'll need to place the grub token on the board, again matching the trait symbol. There are 10 actions you can perform in STAG. I'll start with the super basic ones first. Simply pick up a card from the deck. There is a 5-card hand limit though. You can gain more than 5 cards, but must discard down to 5 once you've chosen which cards to keep. Pick up how many eggs are displayed on the action. In this case, it's 2 eggs. You can exchange any one resource that you have for another. Eggs are not included though, so it's only water, wood, nectar, fruit, and sap that can be exchanged. You can age your grubs or pupae. Move your pink or black tracker cubes down 1 space per age symbol shown. You can split your aging between different grubs or pupae. You cannot pre-age an empty section of the card mat. It must already have a beetle card in play. The next 3 actions have a cost to perform. This is indicated by the red circle on the bottom right hand corner. To take any of these actions, pay the amount shown inside the circle. This action has a cost of 3 eggs. Flip over one of your action tiles to the upgraded golden side. This tile will be kept upgraded for the rest of the game. If you're clever, you can upgrade a tile and perform the upgraded version on the same turn. The upgraded sides make actions cheaper or more efficient. More aging, more eggs, more cards, more options, etc, etc. Some upgraded sides are in a slightly different order, so be sure to plan ahead when placing your tiles, as the position cannot be changed. No backsies! This action has a cost of either 2 wood or 2 water. Tuck a card from your hand under one of the 2 slots on your action mat. The left slot gives you an ongoing boon for the rest of the game. So in this example, all grubs require 1 less aging, so this beetle would only need 5 instead of 6. All boons make nurturing beetles more efficient. Check the player aid or rulebook for a full list. The right slot gives you a bonus resource that's displayed on the card, but only if it's visible during the collect resources stage. You'll also see at the bottom of the action mat there are 2 slots. A tucked card reveals an objective to gain you more points. These will be scored at the end of the game. They revolve either around resources, the trait tracker, or your played cards. In this example, you gain 3 points if you have the most sap at the end of the game. Again, please check the player aid or rulebook for a full list. You can replace the tucked card, but the old one is returned to the bottom of the deck. The trait tracker represents the evolutionary traits that your beetles will pass on to the next generation. There are 3 traits: mandibles, colouring, and wingspan. Advancing on these tracks is one of the ways you'll be earning points as well as gaining boons. I'll explain both later in the video. This action has a cost of 5 eggs. To gain the trait, advance one of your cubes up a space on one of the 3 tracks. The remaining 3 actions are all about the life cycle of the beetle and moving towards the centre of the board. Choose a beetle card from your hand and pay the egg cost. In this example, it's 7 eggs. Then replace your grub token with your beetle card on your card mat. Place your grub token on the outer ring of the board on a slot that matches the trait symbol on the beetle card. So it can go here or any other free space that shows the symbol. As soon as you put down the beetle card, you have earned the points on the card. To grow a pupa, you must have met the grub's requirements first. In this example, the grub needs 2 water, 3 wood, and to be aged 5 times. We have these already, so you'd pay the wood and water resources back to the supply and reset your pink aging cube to 0. Then move your pupa from the card mat to the pupa slot that is next to your grub on the board. Replace the pupa trait token if there is one present and keep next to your action mat. Each time you pick up a pupa trait token, you immediately move your tracker cube up 1 space on the matching trait track. Remove your grub token and place it back on your card mat, while moving your beetle card along to the next section. For an extra bonus, if the pupa trait token you pick up matches exactly both in colour and the symbol to your beetle card, you instantly gain 1 point from the supply. You should always have a token or a card on your mat. You can grow a pupa on an empty space, but you won't get the bonus. If there is already another pupa token blocking you, including your own, you cannot perform this action. To grow a beetle, you must have met the pupa requirements first. In this example, the pupa needs 6 aging. If you have aged the pupa enough, move your beetle token from the card mat to the beetle slot next to your pupa token. Remove your pupa token and return it to the card mat while moving your beetle card along to the next section. If you're the first beetle on that slot, take the bonus point token from the board. Don't forget to reset your black aging cube to 0 too. You can have multiple beetle cards on the go, but can't advance until there is space to do so. Firstly, flip any fed beetles before checking for a showdown. If there's only 1 beetle on the board, there is no showdown, but that player gains a bonus for their efficiency. They get to move up 1 space on a trait tracker of their choosing. They get this bonus regardless of whether the beetle is fed or unfed. As there is only 1 beetle on the board, there is no showdown, so the next round would begin. If there are multiple beetles on the board, but only 1 is fed, that player would also gain a trait as a bonus too. No showdown would occur as there needs to be multiple fed beetles, so the next round would also begin. But if there are 2 or more fed beetles from different players, a showdown is triggered. In a showdown, players are playing for one of the large point tokens worth 6 points. Players will determine the outcome of the showdown by revealing their showdown tokens on either the fight side or the forage side. Firstly, move all the beetle tokens to the middle of the board and place the beetle cards on top or next to the board so everyone knows what's on the line. Then players involved in the showdown secretly choose fight or forage to influence how the showdown is resolved. Before revealing, anything goes. Players can bluff, declare their intentions, interrogate, or just keep quiet. Then at the same time, players reveal their tokens. If players both choose forage, there is a mutually beneficial outcome. The points are split, 6 points becomes 3 each, with the large token returning to the box, and both players gain 2 traits of their choosing. Good job, everyone is happy. If one player chooses to fight, they take the large 6-point token and gain 1 trait. But the player that chose forage still gains 2 traits. But if they both choose fight, it ends very badly. The large point token gets binned. They both lose a trait, and they both lose their beetle card. You can also have a 3-way showdown, which is much the same, but if you fight, you best hope you're the only player who does. There is a handy player raid that shows the outcomes for a 2 or 3-way showdown. If all 4 players reach a showdown, then it actually splits into 2 separate showdowns. To decide who faces who, look at the current player positions on the hierarchy card. First and last will showdown together, and then the 2 middle players. After a showdown, all beetle tokens are returned to their card mats, and the beetle cards that have survived are tucked under one of your card mats to keep them safe for endgame scoring. At the end of the game, you'll earn points based on your position, first by ranking highest on each track. So if you're first, you gain 6 points, second 4 points, third 2 points, and fourth 0 points. If all players tie, they drop down to the next points tier. This can push other players below them down to the next tier. So in this example, blue and green share the top spot. They both move down a tier, so they will get 4 points each. This will knock down the red player to the next tier, who will get 2 points, and the purple player will get nothing. You will also gain points for your positions across all 3 tracks. You'll earn the bonus points shown on the side of the track based on your lowest rank across all 3. So in this example, blue player will get 4 points. The trait tracker also gives you the opportunity to gain certain boons if you're in the highest position. At the start of the showdown, if you're in the highest position on the mandibles track, you always gain 1 trait if you choose fight in a showdown, regardless of the outcome. So if you and another player both choose fight, you wouldn't lose a trait, and if you were the only player who chooses fight, you'd gain 2. If players are tied in the highest position, then nobody gets the boon. At the start of the collect resources stage, if you're in the highest position on the colouring track, you may swap one of your resources gained for another type, not including X. This only happens once per turn and during the gain resources stage. If players are tied in the highest position, then nobody gets the boon. At the start of the perform action stage, if you're in the highest position on the wingspan track, whenever you gain a card, you draw 2. Keep 1 and return the other to the bottom of the deck. If players are tied in the highest position at the start of the perform action stage, then nobody gets the boon. If you do have the boon and played the pick up 2 cards upgraded action, you'd pick up 4 cards and return 2. But remember the 5 card hand limit. You can gain more than 5 cards, but you must discard down to 5 once you've chosen which cards to keep. At the start of the game, each player was dealt a personal objective card with a green back. Each card shows 3 pupa trait tokens in a specific colour. By the end of the game, if you've managed to gain the tokens that match your card, you'll gain 5 points. On everyone's action mat, there is a universal objective to collect a full 4-of-a-kind coloured set of pupa trait tokens. That's 1 of each colour for a single trait. This set is worth 7 points. Pupa trait tokens can count towards both your universal and personal objectives. There are some situations where a conflict of placement could occur between players. This can be trying to place a grub on the same spot, placing a beetle on the same spot, or an issue on who gains traits first. These rare occurrences are resolved by using the hierarchy card tucked under the top of the trait tracker. The player who is in the leftmost position on the hierarchy card will place their grub or beetle or gain their traits first. Then, the player moves their cube to the last hierarchy position and all the other players move up. If multiple traits are gained, the player would gain all their traits in one go before moving on to the next player who would do the same. The game ends right after the last showdown has concluded and all the large point tokens have gone. Players then count up all their points using the score sheet, adding up played cards, which are the cards on your card mats, or cards that survived a showdown, objectives, any personal or universal pupa trait token sets, and any tucked card objectives. Then lowest ranking positions across all 3 trait tracks on the trait tracker. Then the ranking on the mandibles, colouring, and wingspan tracks. Lastly, any physical point tokens you might have gained. The player with the highest points total is the winner. If there is a tie, the player with the most played beetle cards wins, and if still tied, the player highest on the hierarchy card gets it. And that's STAG. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, comment below. Bye!